Today, it's all about spark and air on our Mini Cooper S. Welcome back to the Auto Obsessive Garage. Chadwick with you again for another installment of Project Mini Green Bean. That is our 2005 Mini Cooper S. Today, guys, we're going to focus on spark and air. What that means is we're going to take care of the spark plugs, the wires, put a new coil pack on there. Though the car doesn't have a lot of mileage at 86K, it still is 18 years old. And as you see, most of those items we're going to replace are original OEM 18-year-old items. So it's time to put a little spark back into her. As far as air goes, we do have to do the air filter, but also we did find on our inspection that air box hose is completely cracked. The rubber is deteriorating. Time to replace that, because that's just a recipe for disaster in the future. So, with that being said, let's get in the garage and get a little dirty. Next on the menu for us is replacing the air filter and this air hose going to the air box that's completely ripped right here. So I'm going to show you guys how to remove that at this time. You have a little battery terminal, access terminal here, since the battery is hidden on the Mini Cooper, where you can jump the car and whatnot. You want to pull that up, two little clips, and you can kind of slide that off the air box like so. The air box itself is held on with T25 Torx bits. So you want to hit these two in the front here. Take off the air hose with this clip right here, this little clamp. Go ahead and loosen that up. It's a little tricky to get to. Another clamp down in the engine. Also, you do have a couple breather hoses or vacuum sources that attach to your intake. Make sure you unclip those down below as well. Air box is out. Well, top of the air box anyway. Pull our filter out, see what we're working with. Pretty dirty. I've seen way worse. The box is pretty dirty, so I'm going to vacuum that out and clean it out. But if you look in the pleats, yeah, I guess this is kind of an old one, yeah. Let's get this hose out of here. Looks like just regular pliers to pull those off. And pull that whole breather hose out. To show you how brittle this rubber gets over time, check this out. And that's not even the crack I saw. That was a separate crack underneath. Our crack was right here, but look. That's what happens to this old rubber, unfortunately. I'm gonna pull this airbox pipe out of the way. I think it's gonna make life a little easier for us. Pulling out that whole thing. We can clean that up while we have it out. There we go. Hose to the throttle body has been removed. This is what we are replacing. Throttle body looks pretty clean. But since we have it exposed, let's go ahead and hit it with a little bit of throttle body cleaner there. I did spray it with actual throttle body cleaner just to be sure. I'm going to go ahead at this time and clean out that air box. We'll get that looking a little better. Clean filter in a dirty air box, that don't make any sense. We'll drop in our new man filter. That's right, man. Oh, it's a good brand. I'm just an idiot. All right. And a perfect fit, as expected. It's the part number again, if you guys need it, C2851. And from Euro Parts, we've got our new air box to throttle body hose here. Let's go ahead and check it out. Exactly right. So it's going to fit there over the throttle body, go right into the air box. The one thing you need to do is make sure your old hose should have this plastic adapter. Probably some kind of control valve one-way system, possibly kind of like a PCV system is. Let's go ahead and make sure we take this piece out and install it in the new part. So it's as easy as loosening this little clamp, pulling the piece out, installing it on the new one. Some silicone spray might be a good idea to get that in. I'll lube it up before we slam it home. Perfect. Awesome. You can see there, the barb is attached. Keep it the same direction in case it is a directional flow kind of situation. Want to make sure we reconnect everything, so the wire down here. Let's put this breather hose back on. Air filter's in, hose is clamped down, everything's put back to where it should be. Ideally, that's the way to do it. But we've got a new hose on here, no more air leaking there, fresh filter, awesome, job complete. All right, we're gonna put the spark back in this little Mini, I swear. We got new NGK Iridium plugs, part number BKR6 Echo India X-Ray. And that's the plugs we're gonna be putting in here. We're gonna pair that with a wonderful new NGK wire set, matching wire set. That's gonna help. Everything on here is original. It's never been touched on this car, and it is due time for some fresh stuff. We're not gonna stop there. Our coil pack's gonna be replaced with this Delphi unit. Here we are. Fresh sparky stuff. Let's go ahead, get the old spark plugs out and start putting some fresh stuff on here. Spark plugs are super easy on the Mini. You're gonna be using a 5/8 inch socket. You wanna get an insulated one with a little rubber boot in there to grab onto that spark plug. A couple 6-inch extensions on a 3/8 inch ratchet should be good. Make sure you're seated on there. And let's pull these plugs out and see what we're working with. Same deal, tip of the plug pretty worn down. I'm not seeing anything irregular on the plug, and these are marked BMW, so no doubt these are the originals. There you go, BMW. Again, 86,000 miles, not that long, but you know, geez, 18 years. Time for new plugs. Here are the 4 NGK Iridium spark plugs we'll be installing in our Mini Cooper S. Let's go ahead and install all 4 at this time. All 4 new spark plugs in the car. Time to get some new wires and a new coil pack installed. Time to install our new coil pack on the Cooper S. The Delphi unit lines up pretty good. Already pre-tested that, so you want to make sure you're good there. There should be, well, the other one had these spacers. Let me see if those will fit on this. I kind of feel like I'm glad I kept these. So we'll line those back up. All right. Gonna line everything up nice and even as best we can. Kind of eyeball it in for now. Remember, you have your clip in the back that you need to put back on, or you won't have any spark go into that nice little coil pack you just installed. These are 10mm bolts, and again, I'm reusing the OEM ones that were on the car. Now this doesn't have to be torqued down. Remember, this is plastic, guys, so don't hulk it. I'm usually pro hulking, but not for this operation. Oh yeah, that looks great. So real straightforward there with the coil pack. And before I even give myself an opportunity to forget, we've got that weird clip we had to do back here in the back. Let's go ahead and install that back on at this time. We also have these that slide over those long screws, if you guys remember the long screws. So press those down in. Slide the red tab back over that you had to use a screwdriver on before. Awesome. Ooh, I'm feeling good about that. That looks really good. Okay, we can run our plug wires at this time too. No reason not to. Now, a thing to check beforehand, I really should have explained this. Your new coil pack should have the number of the corresponding cylinder. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And you have to make sure you obviously go to 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you don't have that, go ahead and mark on your old coil pack before you install the new ones, and carry over those marks to the new ones so you know what you're doing. The beauty of an NGK wire set is that they're also really good about numbering the wires too, so they got your back. We might have to mess around to get the exact organizational skills that we had before, but let's install these. Well, everything's hooked up correctly. Let me go look at a reference photo and run the wires in a more organized manner. That looks pretty nice and neat to me. Most of it's gonna get covered by the intercooler and the intercooler shroud, but hey, Everything's connected. Again, double check you are all plugged in. You didn't forget your clip on the back, and all your plug boots are down firmly on the spark plugs. And that's it, guys. Super quick job, but super important job. I consider this a maintenance item before you start to have ignition problems, firing issues. Super simple, not that costly. Make sure you get good quality parts and you should be good to go. You might gain a little horsepower back with this fresh stuff. And for the final step, we're gonna put our intercooler back in place. And you remember it had those 2 locking rings on each side. But first, before we do that, you definitely wanna remember the ears, the 2-bolt one and then the 3-bolt one. Let's install those at this time because the intercooler actually mounts to those. So if you install your intercooler and forget those, you gotta take it off and do it again. So let's put those ears on there. These are 8mm bolts. Time to put these intercooler kind of locking mechanisms back in. The passenger side is going to be the long side, so the right-hand side of the vehicle is going to have the long ones. Driver's side is going to have the short ones. I like to place the bottom ones in first. Just kind of secure them, just rest them in place there. Once you put the intercooler on, you obviously can't do this. Just slide them up under there. Now it's going to be time for our intercooler. Get it nice and rested inside those 2 boots. Okay, don't forget your little bolts that we loosened here. Little 8mm. Put these holders back in place. This one does have a little sensor clipped onto it, so make sure you get him in that same bolt. We have our little plastic shroud that's going to go on top. We've got everything back together. All our work is complete. Let's clean this engine bay up with the power of editing magic. And that's looking way more workable. So we're actually reflecting the condition of the maintenance under the hood now. Nice and clean. Awesome. Big job. A lot of big stuff knocked down under the hood. And I'm super happy with how I came out. On to the next project.